Hey there guys, it is Nadine Ruwa here, and in today's video I'm going to be silk pressing my hair whilst I just yap about the great lock-in of 2025. Like, I know you guys have heard about the great lock-in of 2025 and how everybody's locking in, and I'm curious to hear about your thoughts if you guys are locking in. But as somebody who has been notoriously living my life off of social media, and this year has been like my most locked out year, I've been the most locked in that I have ever been. But yeah, without me rambling on, guys, let's get into the. Did I close my. I want to open the window. Whenever you're silk pressing your hair, crack open a window, put on a fan, like whatever you need to control that humidity. A few bits before we actually get into the straightening of the hair, I used a blow dry I used a blow. Ugh, can't talk. I used a blow dry brush to blow dry my hair. This is one from Revolution Hair, guys. This is like the cheapest blow dry brush. Yeah, can't talk. This is like the cheapest blow dry brush that I could find on the internet. I think I got it for like £25 on sale. It was literally a steal. Probably not the best quality either, but it gets the job done and it gets like my blowouting. I have two main hair straighteners that I use. One is the GHD Platinum, and this hair straightener is so good if you like want healthy hair. That's the best way I can put it. It like has a controlled like heat setting, and it's really good if you want to keep your hair like super healthy. But the only thing I find is when I use this hair straightener, my hair literally lasts like 0.2 seconds, like 2 days, and poof, it's frizzy again because the temperature is really low. It has no temperature settings on this hair straightener. It's literally one temperature setting and it's really low. Days when I want my hair to look like crazy silk, I use my bad boys, these ones. Look, this is the Remington Shine Therapy. Like, I've had this for so many years. If I'm straightening my whole head, which I have not done for literal ages, I will use this bristle brush, like, and I will clamp the hair and I will straighten like the entire hair. It really grabs the hair really well. But because I only straighten my roots these days, I'm just going to use a tail comb into it. Like I mentioned in the intro, guys, today I really want to talk about the great lock-in of 2025. I'm sure you've heard about her. I'm sure some of you are taking part in her, but I really wanted to talk about kind of the back end of locking in that a lot of people don't talk about. I would say I have had the most locked in year I've ever had. All of the things that I have been achieving have really only been visible to me. And I think some of the times when you achieve things that are really only visible to you, it can make you feel like you're like literally not doing enough. One thing I've always really struggled with is like clapping for myself. The goal of locking in is locking in so bad that it's not even a lock-in anymore. It's literally just your life. So I really want to talk about the things that I've actually done this year that have helped me to have my most locked in, locked out year. And when I say locked in, locked out, I mean this year I have elevated my career to a crazy level. I'm quite literally like the top 10%, dare I say 5% earners of my age group. My investment portfolio is literally popping like crazy, considering I live in like the most expensive city in the world. And yes, London was recently ranked the most expensive city in the world. My spiritual life is in the best place that it has been ever. And emotionally, I'm doing like so good. And that's not to say that I have not had turmoil this year, because this year has been quite literally turmoil. And that's exactly what I want to touch on in this video, is that a lot of the times we have good intentions, we want to lock in, we want to live healthy lifestyles, and it's not that we can't, it's just that life gets in the way. And one thing I feel like I've done really well this year is not let life happen to me, because at the end of the day, the day's got to end. My friend who's in law school literally needed like a little bit of motivation, a little bit of advice, and she was like, oh, can I like, what advice have you got for me right now? And I was like, you know what? The best advice I can give you right now is, at the end of the day, the day's got to end. I want to tell you about the few things that have laid the groundwork for this to be my most locked in year ever. I want to break this down into 3 sections. 3 sections being spiritual, emotional, and physical. First things first, you need to lock in spiritually. I kid you not, your spiritual life is the basis of all things good in your life. I personally am a Christian. I don't believe in any other forms of spirituality. So that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm 26 years old, always been a Christian. Christian like my whole entire life, and I've gone through phases where I've been, you know, really in my word about that church life, and then I've also been through phases where I'm not so, you know, vigilant with my spiritual life. And I think I've come to a point where I've realized that you cannot do life without God. Like, you want to lock in, like, I'm telling you, if you want to be the best, if you want to be the best version of yourself, I promise you, it starts in church. It starts in the Bible. It starts in prayer. Because everything flows from your spirit and your heart. If you're confused about your morals, about your values, about what you stand for in life, it's very difficult to lock in. Having a spiritual grounding is really going to help you to understand where you're going, what your direction is, what the purpose of exactly what you are doing is. And everybody knows if you have a purpose, you are more likely to succeed at something. These days, I have become well acquainted with my Bible, okay? And when I say Bible, I mean my literal physical Bible. Like, it's literally on my bed right now. Because we're in the day and age of like phone Bibles. I was not too pressed about reading my physical Bible, but guys, it makes the whole difference. If you've never fell asleep clutching your Bible, I don't know, man. Like, that's when you know life is hitting you. That's when you know life is hitting you hard. This links so helpfully to your emotional health. Your emotions aren't in a good place. It's very hard for you to be consistent at anything. Last year, I had the most emotional year I've ever had. I'm talking crying every day. I'm talking like real down bottom of the barrel pit. And I handled it terribly. Actually, I don't like to say that. Being kind to myself, I handled it the best way I could at that time. And if you've ever had a toxic work environment, you know how debilitating it can literally be, because like, I gotta be here every day. Like, I have to come here. Like, I don't have you, your livelihood depends on it. What I've realized is if your spiritual life is in good nick, you don't let your emotions control you as much. Emphasis on as much, because we are literally still humans. And if you're somebody who's in that situation, I know so many people who are also in that situation of a toxic work environment and it's really getting them down. And if you are in that situation, I'm sending you all the love, all the hugs, and the reassurance that it will get better, and it does get better. That's why locking in looks different in every season. That time of my life, locking in literally meant just making it to work, doing my day job and smiling through it. I thought that when I left that place and I was going to be happy again, that everything was going to be great and I was going to lock back in, because I was going through that season where emotionally I wasn't, you know, all the way there. Then if there's one thing this year has taught me, is that emotional turmoil will be with you always. And that doesn't necessarily, I don't necessarily mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying life is always going to get in the way in some way, shape, or form. And so having good coping mechanisms for when you go through emotional turmoil is literally an absolute key. It's easy for people to come online and say, let's lock in, let's work out 5 times a week, so let's read 20 pages of a self-help book. Yeah, sometimes you barely make it out of bed in a day. And sometimes that is, and I barely made it out of bed today. You think I want to go to the gym 5 times a week? Hell no. The difference between last year me and this year me is that when emotional turmoil came around, my coping mechanism was completely different. Coping mechanisms can appear such as things like substance abuse, it can appear as bed rotting, it can appear as escapism, avoiding reality. What else? Judgment-free zone, okay? We've all been. And so if you learn to have good coping mechanisms for when things aren't emotionally all the way there, you will find that you're able to maintain a locked-in lifestyle a lot easier. So whatever that looks like for you, if it's going to church, if it's going to the gym, if it's praying about it, lock into that. A lot of people want to be locked into the physical goals that everybody can see. Having that Lori Harvey body, or a glass skin routine, or a crazy body care routine. And honestly, all of those things are not bad. They're not bad at all. You also have to ask yourself, where is this lock-in coming from? Is it coming from a genuine place of wanting to just be a better person? Or is it coming from pressure of literally seeing videos pop up on your screen saying, you need to lock in, you need to do this? Because half of the time, people on social media aren't even doing half of the things that they say they are. Sometimes just existing is being locked in enough. For me, as long as you're taking care of your spiritual and your emotional health, everything else that flows out of that is always going to be fruitful. I guess the only thing that I haven't touched on is physical health. My main thing that I have to say in this is there's a rise in, obviously, fitness culture and being active and everything like that. And whilst that in itself is not a bad thing, one thing I'm not a huge fan of, aesthetic fitness. Don't get me wrong, I think everybody should have certain fitness goals and everybody wants to look a certain way, right? You want to look lean, you want to look like a healthiest, the best version of yourself that you can be. So if you're locking into your physical journey right now, lock in with the mindset that you are wanting to be a steward of your body. Lock in with the mindset that you want to be the healthiest version of yourself. Lock in with the mindset that you want to be able to run around with your kids in your 30s and your 40s and your grandkids in your 50s and your 60s. Working out will feel a lot less exhausting because you're not putting so much pressure on yourself to train to failure, and you're not force feeding yourself 200 grams of protein a day. In this life, all you can do is your best. These are my edges, by the way, guys. Straightening your edges is straightening your edges, it's literally an extreme sport. Like, it's an extreme sport. Don't feel too pressured. That was my little yap and my little 2 cents on this whole lock-in culture, what I think about it. And the last thing, just my ends. I've turned, at this point, my hair straightener is off. It's like cooling down, so it's obviously not in its hottest temperature, but it's not cold, obviously. And I just clip the ends just so that they're not like, have that blowout look, if that makes sense, when the kind of rest of my hair has that silk press look. This side I'm gonna, and you do it in big sections, so it's like the heat is not that crazy. Okay. I honestly love this routine because it's such minimal heat on like the lengths of my hair. I still get to maintain like my body, my volume. I think in the last video that I made, in my FAQs video, I just did a keratin treatment, and when you do a keratin treatment you kind of have to straighten your hair really flat for it to make sense. But yeah, today I get to do my voluminous silk press that I like to do pretty much on a regular. That was pretty much it for my silk press and yap video, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.